stand in for the town mayor.
Good evening everyone, and welcome to this extraordinary council meeting. It's nice to see so many people here. Please be seated. Can I just say before we start, we tried out this venue at the request of councillors to see if it meets more of councillors' needs than some of the other rooms we have used. But they also asked if people cannot lean against the artwork, if at all possible. Thank you. Notice of meeting. This meeting has been called in accordance with Schedule 12, paragraph 9.1 of the Local Government Act 1972. Public notice of the meeting is given in accordance with Schedule 12, paragraph 10.2 of that Act. Moving on to the agenda. Number 1, apologies for absence. To receive and resolve upon apologies for inability to attend.
Chair, I note apologies from Councillors Arston, Jones, Redfern and Hinchcliffe.
Can we have a proposal to accept those apologies? Councillor Wilson, seconded by Councillor Abbott. All those in favour? Thank you. Item 2, declaration of interest. To declare any interest which members may have in the following agenda items. Do we have any declarations, councillors? No? Thank you. Moving on. Public participation. Standing orders will be suspended for up to 15 minutes to allow for questions or statements submitted by members of the public, limited to 3 minutes per person. I believe we've already received notification from 3 people.
We have, Chair, the first of whom is Mrs. Smith.
Mrs. Smith.
Thank you. Whitby Town Council is the bedrock on which our democracy is built. Its current councillors carry the burden of guiding it through unprecedented times. As this motion says, the residents of Whitby expect our councillors to act in the best interests of our town. But we also require you to hold this council to the highest democratic standards. The Oxford Dictionary defines democracy as a political system that allows the citizens to participate in political decision-making. And yet, here you are, suggesting that to consult the voters of Whitby, be it through a motion, a town meeting or even a town poll, is disruptive to the business of a council. Without consultation, there can be no council business. Without consultation, there is no democracy. Without democracy, Whitby Town Council is irrelevant. Voting for this motion will be to sign the death warrant of the council you are claiming to support. We should be applauding those councillors who are going the extra mile to support debate, thanking those members who are actively seeking the opinions of the electorate. Instead, you appear to be asking them to resign. This surely is the first step to the demise of democracy. Not only does this motion endanger our democratic governance, it also endangers our human rights. Article 10 of the Human Rights Act states that everyone has the right to freedom of expression. This right shall include the freedom to hold opinions and to receive and impart information and ideas without interference by public authority and regardless of frontiers. So, for example, it may be that a councillor, as a councillor, you consider that placing a 3, possibly 4-storey overbearing building in the heart of this town is a triviality. But thanks to Article 10, you have the right to express that controversial view. What you don't have is the right to silence others who express an alternate opinion. I applaud the Code of Conduct, which requires you to lead by example, an example that requires you to listen to alternative points of view. A Code of Conduct that demands you don't belittle, ridicule or silence those who express alternative ideas. That anyone thought this a suitable motion for an extraordinary meeting of the Council astounds me. I hope it was an aberration and not a chilling forecast of a dystopian future. Once again, please support democracy, please support freedom of expression, vote against this motion, or better still, withdraw it.
Val Appleton, Chair.
Val Appleton.
That's me here.
Oh.
Where would you like me to
Would
stand?
you stand up wherever you're
Okay.
comfortable?
My name is Val Appleton and I'm a resident of Whitby. I was born in Whitby and my family goes back hundreds of years. I am passionate about preserving Whitby's heritage and have been involved in many local schemes to restore some of its history. In the first line of the motion that has been put before you today, moved by Councillor Wilson, it states that the Council acts in the best interests of Whitby taxpayers. I'm afraid that I have to disagree. At the moment, mainly because of Whitby Town Council's involvement with the Town Deal Board. There are schemes that are not wanted by the residents of Whitby. They do not want the plinth that is proposed will be attached to the old Town Hall, which was built in 1788. In the second sentence of the motion, you refer to pointless and irrelevant motions and continue by referring to town calls for trivial reasons. I do not consider that the proposal to add a plinth covering the 1640 marketplace to be trivial. I consider the proposal to be totally disrespectful to Whitby's heritage. The second issue on the poll is regarding the old town hall and regeneration of the marketplace. What I don't think is being understood by the town council and other officials is that the proposed plinth is not wanted, but you do not want to listen. That is the fundamental issue in Whitby. The authorities do not listen to us about issues that affect us. You should be our voice to North Yorkshire Council. Why didn't the Town Deal Board leave our ancient market square alone? What on earth made them think it was a good idea? Why did the Town Council have no objections to the proposal to add the plinth? There was no local consultation apart from the original proposal for the location of the plinth, which was then removed. Do you realise that you are not reflecting the views of the Whitby residents? You need to start listening to us and considering how we feel, not how you think we should feel.
D. Dixon.
Sorry.
D. Dixon.
D. Dixon.
Yes, indeed.
Thank you.
I'm Dee Dixon and I'm also a resident of Whitby and was born here. I am disgusted by the condescending and petty tone of the notice of motion by Councillors Wilson and Wild. Congratulations to Councillors Abbott and Riddles for allowing us to express our views at the Town Assembly held last week. These meetings are not trivial and they are leading by example and securing public confidence. Sorry, I should have said, and they are leading by example and securing public confidence, not you. We do not want the dangerous and unsightly plinth in our beautiful market square, nor the maritime training hub on Endeavour Wharf. Use space available in other buildings. We are the people of Whitby, and you should listen to our views and act in our interests, as should all councillors. Are you listening? Councillors Wilson and Wild, and anyone who agrees with them, you have been voted in and can just as easily be voted out. And I hope you are. Thank you.
Those have all been notified.
Do we have anyone else who wishes to speak? Yes, thank you.
Mr. Mayor, good evening. Good evening, councillors. I would like to begin by thanking you for the courtesy and promptness of your correspondence with me today. Would you please explain to me, why are we here? This motion is not a motion. It is a statement. It doesn't demand a vote. It's nonsense. Please tell me, why are we here? Not a word.
If
Thank
you-
you, sir.
Thank you. We have two more people. I think we got, yes, do you like to speak?
Joyce Stango. First of all, I must admit I don't understand what this motion is about and what the proposal is going to be coming from it. I am also very disappointed, since I was a town council going back a long time, I think it was about 2012 when I left. We don't seem to have got any further on. How does the town council demonstrate value to money, value for money, to the Whitby Council ratepayers, particularly this year when wages and the precepts appear to have increased by more than expected? What targets are set for the officers and councillors when there is no town or neighbourhood plan or any quality management plan in place? For example, I think it was last year in 2022, the town mayor indicated that we would have a neighbourhood plan in 2 years. And as far as I'm aware, I don't think it's even started. So I would like to be made aware of what exactly this motion is for, what is the proposal, and to tell us what is going to happen in the future. I really do think the town council does need to move forward. Can it look at other towns, for example? Bolton, Lou, there's lots of really good town councils out there. Why can we not get our town council to that standard? Thank you.
Make one more. Yes.
I'm Ian Dixon. Probably some of the councillors will know me from the past. I've attended a lot of meetings over the years, been an ardent supporter of Whitby Town Council in the past. I appreciate what you do at times, but I've seen an awful change in the last few years. I've attended meetings and I've been told at times, I know it's changed tonight, many a times I was told I couldn't speak because it wasn't on the agenda. And I was told by a certain councillor that was always the way. It wasn't years ago. But thankfully, freedom of speech, we're having that tonight. But I'm absolutely appalled the way that this motion's been worded. As other people have said, it's not a trivial matter, the town hall, and it's not a trivial matter having that monstrosity on the dock end. And as far as most locals don't want it, and it's about time that people in the town have got a say on things. But apparently, according to this motion, it's all trivia, and we're not allowed to have a say. Well, I think you see tonight there's quite a few people turned up. I've been trying to get people to turn up today, but obviously Whitby's a very apathetic place, and you can't always get people to attend. Thank you.
Right. Thank you very much. We will now move on to agenda item 4, notice of motion. Moved by Councillor Mrs Wilson, seconded by Councillor Mrs Wilde. This council acts in the best interest of the council taxpayers of Whitby. We condemn the actions of any member of this council who seeks to disrupt the ordinary business of the council with pointless and irrelevant motions, while we're calling for town assembly meetings and town polls for trivial reasons. Every pointless meeting or childish request detracts from full engagement and proper decision making. The Members' Code of Conduct requires all councillors to lead by example and act in a way that secures public confidence in the role of councillor. If certain members of this council are not prepared to honour this principle and widely apply themselves to effective cooperative working in the best interest of the people of Whitby, it is they who should resign and clear the way for those who do. Councillor Wilson, do you still wish to move?
Can I just speak first?
Well, I just need to check. Councillor Wilde, do you wish to second?
Yes.
Councillor Wilson.
Then I'll move it. Thanks.
Oh, can I just say, just before Councillor Wilson and Councillor Wilde speak, Can I have any early indications at this stage of amendments to the motion?
What's the answer?
Can I just, have we got any amendments? And I'm requesting for early indication of amendments to this motion to be raised by councillors. No? So I take it then there will be no amendments raised to this motion. Thank you. Councillor Mrs. Wood.
I spent a lot of time and thought on what to say tonight. I am both saddened and angry at the route some councillors are taking. I don't believe there is any justification at all in wasting thousands of pounds of local taxpayers' money on pointless opinion polls, especially during a cost of living crisis, where this, to my mind, is a monumental kick in the teeth to those people struggling to make ends meet. I've heard councillors say it's just X amount of pounds. Well, it's not our money, and spending any of the precept unnecessarily is irresponsible and shows an astounding level of entitlement and disregard for the general population. I am curious as to how many town assembly meetings were called by the former borough councillors who are on the town council now. The pointless motions and constant nitpicking achieves nothing, but I think it is causing an unpleasant and toxic environment for the councillors and the staff.
Could members of the public please refrain from commenting? Thank you. Councillor Hyde.
I just want to say that this motion has come forward because the work of the Town Council has been totally disrupted. I joined this Town Council to work for Whitby, and if anybody here says I haven't worked for Whitby, we're behind. I'll have a word with you. What's happened here is people have joined the Town Council because they belong to another group and they're looking for trouble. We have a person from the community who has one aim, and that is to cause disruption. That person has written it on a log and he's referred to me as pork. He referred to me where it says, one cannot educate pork. How rude and disgusting is that? That is just one comment that a member in this room tonight has written about me. This motion is just about bringing to the attention, and I'm absolutely overjoyed to see you people here because it proves that you don't want this injustice. So these people who come, join the Town Council and just do what they want, we have to sit there every week, every month, every meeting, listening to them going on and on. I am interested in working for the people of Whitby. These people aren't. Ask them what they've done. We've got one councillor here who stopped being a Scarborough Borough councillor in April. He had every opportunity for 3 years to challenge the town deal. Did he do it? No, he didn't. This person has the cliff lift, had the cliff lift in his ward. Did he do anything? No, he didn't. There's loads of things that people come in here and saying, we are here for the town and the Maritime Hub. I've heard misinformation after misinformation. I'm going to publish this week the true facts about the Maritime Hub and the Town Hall. And for interest's sake, I'm on the Town Deal Board, and I actually voted against the plinth, spoke long and hard against the plinth, and everybody on that market knows that. And if they're here tonight and say they don't, well, that's not my problem. So what I'm saying here is, this motion is to bring to your attention what's happening on the Town Council and what we are trying to achieve. We are trying to achieve something good. We are now taken over by North Yorkshire Council. And the thing is, we were trying to get some devolved powers so that we could all work together in Whitby. Tonight, we are here for you to listen to this motion and understand that anybody who wants to bandy the word trivial, go ahead. We are not saying that your opinion is trivial. What we're saying is the people who are bringing these motions, holding the Town Council back and terrorising the staff, because that's what is happening. So I'm glad to see you here tonight. I hope you all turn up to every meeting we hold, and we won't be standing down. Thank you.
Councillors who would wish to speak? Councillor Knott?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Undoubtedly some serious matters have been raised tonight by members of the public, but this motion is all about bringing to the attention of the public the waste of public money incurred in fatuous motions, calling points of order whenever the Mayor pauses for breath, publicly deriding the Council and publishing information that is at best misleading. There was a town assembly on March 22nd, another on September 4th, and yet another on September the 18th at a cost of £90 each. Not a great deal of money, but it all adds up when it is unbudgeted. On September the 4th, the proponents of the meeting, Councillors Abbott and Barnett, did not even have the meetings of the March meeting available, and it was their responsibility to have them.
Nonsense.
Town polls have emanated from town assemblies, and the last one cost this council £5,231. The next one will cost more because North Yorkshire Council will deploy more staff. If we do hold the by-elections that have been called for by Councillors Abbott and Barnett, the cost of the council would ordinarily be in the order of £35,000, and they think that the town council is wasting money. Fortunately, however, because of the need to compile one North Yorkshire electoral policy from 7 districts and borough council policies, NYC have decided not to charge back the cost of by-elections until April 2024. Please note, however, Mr. Mayor, that this information would not have been available at the time the poll was called, so they were quite prepared to waste £35,000 of your money. In July, there was a call for meetings here to be discontinued in favour of a venue meeting the requirements of the Equality Act, and where proceedings may be recorded in full on video with sound. Councillor Abbott said that he would find a suitable venue with better acoustics and adequate facilities, and has failed. All he came up with was the Coliseum, where the lighting would make it difficult for anyone with sight problems, and we have councillors who suffer, or vertigo to attend, and where microphones are still needed and with unbudgeted costs. Deafness is not the only criterion for consideration. The first 2.5 hours of the July meeting were taken up with items that achieved nothing in the way of advance for the authority, apart from a motion to redesign, substantially improve, and be in operation by the end of the year the Town Council website, subject to guidance and approval of full council. It is to be hoped that Councillors Abbott and Riddles give an update on this project at the next full council meeting. Time is running out. Item 9 on that agenda concerned the matter of funding work to this building. The sum involved is in excess of £100,000. The item was quickly passed over as we were rapidly approaching the 3-hour time limit set for full council meetings. Councillor Riddles regularly attends meetings with a thick book of manuals, thick manual of rules and regulations to claim pointless points of order. Of course, we know that rules and regulations are vitally important for the smooth running of any organisation, but they should not be allowed to take up a disproportionate amount of time at ordinary council meetings. Most recently, this was to demand that those who apologise for a meeting shall give a reason. This is hypocrisy at its superlative best. Councillor Riddles rocked up 40 minutes late for his first Joint Management Committee meeting and parked himself down without apology. There was an extraordinary meeting held in August to revise the composition of committees and the way of determining the membership of those committees. That motion was lost and the other 2 motions on the agenda were declared inadmissible. The cost of extraordinary meetings is about £350. I am told that Councillor Barnett is so unhappy with the council of which he is a member that he recently had a letter published in the North Yorkshire Inquirer where he states, quite rightly, that it is his duty to scrutinise the public purse. However, Mr. Mayor, I suggest he needs to look closer. Complaining that staff wages have increased by 13.89% He overlooks the fact that a maintenance technician has been employed on a part-time basis and he's worth his weight in gold. So far, saving thousands of pounds which would have gone to outside contractors. In his letter, Councillor Barnett goes on to complain that it now costs, and I quote, 40p for a pea, without noting the costs of cleaning and upkeep, the quality of which may be subject to further debate in the future. However, a little bit of investigation would have revealed the facts. These are that the total revenue from public conveniences is £240,000, and after associated costs, our share is £60,000. But water usage in public conveniences is high and consumes £44,000, leaving 16. So out of every 40p, we get a net benefit of less than 3p. Oh, so that this revenue is optimised, £10,000 out of the 16 is currently ring-fenced for our contribution to the East Pier footbridge. Oh, and by the way, the water bill for this building is round about £3,600. In the same sentence in that letter, Councillor Barnett states that the Council benefits from 60% of the admission charges to the Panic Art Gallery and Museum. Extremely inaccurate scrutiny. There is no admission charge to the Art Gallery. That is why the front desk is at the entrance to the museum, not the Art Gallery. The 60% to which he refers is ring-fenced to go towards meeting the cost of maintaining the building in which we sit. Earlier I referred to this item of expenditure. This building needs expenditure in excess of £100,000 sooner rather than later, and this is far in excess of the Council's income from the museum. Of course, that Council meeting was so taken up with, dare I say, some less important matters of procedure that only a couple of minutes were left for any discussion on this topic. Had he scrutinised a little deeper, or in fact scrutinised at all, he would have found out that the Panic Art Gallery and the Museum, which is run by the Whitby Literary and Philosophical Society, commonly known as the Lit and Phil, are two quite separate entities. The Town Council is, as a corporate body, the sole trustee of the building, and the third entity in the mix. Legally, it is a complex and complicated arrangement set out in leases and High Court judgments dated between the 1920s and 1940s, and precede in the terms of reference of the Joint Management Committee, to which all parties are irrevocably bound. It is quite possible, Mr Mayor, that if this Council were not responsible for this building and received nothing from the Lit and Phil, it would be financially better off. But that is something that is never going to happen. So perhaps then, Councillor Barnett, we can look forward to your correction appearing in the public domain. By publishing that letter, you have set out deliberately to mislead the public and bring this Council into disrepute. All in all, it is a sad story of ineptitude, incompetence, a total lack of understanding of the democratic process, inability to make good on their own promises, inability to research or ask questions, and deliberate misleading of the taxpayer. Councillors Abbott, Barnett and Riddles are democratically bankrupt, and even that is overstating their position. What has been demonstrated is a total disregard for the necessity to behave responsibly with public funds, and disturbing desire to denigrate the Council at any opportunity. I will support this motion. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Councillor Sunderland.
Right, so I'm wondering whether I've been called to a council meeting or a kangaroo court. What appears to happen here at this council meeting is that 3 councillors have been named, they've been told they're incompetent, they've been told various things, and actually, quite frankly, they've been insulted.
Exactly.
And I will not be supporting this motion on that basis. And as far as democracy is concerned, that lady over there, Amanda Smith, she spoke about democracy. Not one of us, not one single one of us has been elected. We all here by default, as Mr Dixon pointed out at a meeting many, many months ago. And I think that as a result of that, you standing up and talking about the cost of democracy, what sheer hypocrisy is that?
Yeah.
£35,000 to call an election for democracy, is that really something that we need to consider? consider? Really? Do you think the taxpayers in this town would forfeit £35,000 to actually have people standing against one another and fighting for a position on this council? Because at the moment, every single one of us is here by default, and that does not give us the right to start pointing fingers at others. It does not make you any more important than these guys. That's what I'm saying. I will not be supporting this motion.
Can I just clarify one point, Councillor Sumner? An uncontested election is still an election. The candidates who put their names forward as official nominees were elected. The fact that no one stood against those candidates does not negate the election. It was an uncontested election. And on that matter, I'm sure everyone would have seen that we now have got a casual vacancy in the Westcliff ward. If 10 electors submit to the returning officer that they want a by-election, then we will be having a by-election in the Westcliff ward. And I look forward to seeing that by-election take place.
Will we be announcing that?
It is on the website.
Marvellous. Is it any further than just on the website?
We've notified it as we have to notify it.
Well, my stance is, and I'm ashamed to say it, nobody voted for me to be on this council.
Well, that's fine. It's your choice if you feel that that doesn't mean you have a mandate as a councillor.
That's not
However,
exactly what I'm saying. What I am saying is that I don't think that gives anybody the right over any one of us to point fingers at people, and quite frankly, it was insulting. Absolutely insulting. So I won't be supporting this motion.
Thank you. I won't be taking further questions from members of the public, so there's no point putting your hand up. Thank you. Any other councillors wish to speak? Councillor Turner.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Where to start, really? I'm so disappointed that we're sat in a room tonight discussing the motion that's before us. I've been a councillor over quite a long number of years, and I've always wanted to be a councillor because I felt it was a position that I could take and stand up for this town and fight for this town. And yet, the way that things are going at the moment for Whitby Town Council, it just seems as if we can't discuss anything and get to a solid end result, quite frankly. I feel as if I'll be honest, I feel as if I'm wasting my time, actually, standing as a councillor, because we spend more time in what I can only term as petty arguments between ourselves and not getting on with the work. There is absolutely no doubt that Whitby Town Council can improve. There isn't a council in this land or a government department that cannot improve. But we have to be open to improvements. I have pushed from day one that we need to communicate with our community much, much more than we do. And I'm happy to see that we have done. There is a turn in that. But if we're going to carry on, we do need to listen to people. We do need to move forward. But above all else, if we cannot sit in a room and work together, then what the hell are we doing? Because quite frankly, I've got better things to do with my time than to sit and argue over, I'm not going to call it trivia. I happen to support this town and the community in it, and I've always taken the stance that whatever the community wants, I will fight for them. And if we can't do that, then we may as well just get rid of our town council, because what the hell are we doing? We aren't supporting what we should be doing by arguing between ourselves. And quite frankly, I haven't got enough time left in front of me to waste it arguing over things instead of working to the betterment of this town.
Point of information, in the spirit that Councillor Turner has just expressed, I would have thought that the Town Council shouldn't be discussing personalities. It should be discussing issues. because that's what we are about, isn't it? We're about supporting people of Whitby. So my question is this meeting about personalities or issues? And my second point of information is, what steps have you taken to include the people from the hinterland in the outlying villages, because they too care about the issues in Whitby, that's why they live here.
So can I just clarify two things? We are here to discuss the motion, purely and simply the motion.
The motion is completely value-laden.
Well, that is your opinion, and can I please ask that the members of the public do not speak now?
Okay, I accept your point. But there's no point in being here if that is your point.
The members of the public were invited to participate at the start of the meeting under public participation. That section is now over, and now the council are discussing the motion in question, of which the members of the public are more than welcome to sit and observe, but they are not here to comment or to make additional statements. This is a council meeting with public present. It is not a public participation meeting now. Thank you. Councillor Riddle.
It's a public funded
Excuse me.
Standing orders do allow for you to suspend the meeting to allow the public to talk.
They certainly do, but at the moment I am more interested in hearing what the councillors wish to say. We have heard from the members of the public at the start of the meeting, and they expressed their view eloquently, and, you know, I'm very impressed with what was said. But we now need the councillors to put forward their points of view. So, Councillor Riddle, do you have anything to say about this motion?
I don't think it is a motion, and B, I'm not going to get into the slanging match, especially with Councillor Knock, who is quite offensive to me at various times. One time saying I'm deaf as a post, and if that is going along the guidelines that were put, then I'm sorry, but I don't think it is. And I get abused from Councillor Knock quite often, and from various of the members of the councillors. I put a motion together that I thought was very good for the committees, so it became democratic. There were 6 councillors in this among us who actually had over 50% of the committee places. Well, I don't think that's democratic. I put a motion to it. It was voted down, probably because I put that motion. Same if Councillor Barnett puts a motion down, it will get voted down because he's not popular, I'm not popular. What I will say is that the 2 town polls that nobody else actually cottoned onto, I've actually saved the council the money that would have been for the 2nd town poll had I not acted quickly and asked Councillor Abbott to support me by having another town assembly very quickly, which I talked to the actual department about. They wouldn't give me the exact notice of what I wanted to know, but I gathered from them that if I was very quick and got the 2nd town assembly together, they would combine the 2. And we did it. We had 3 days to spare. If I had been 3 days later, we would have had to have paid for 2 town polls. I don't get any thanks for that. I don't expect any.
Does any of the councillors who have not spoken wish to speak? Councillor Barnett.
Yeah, I think it's been kind of solitary to sit here and listen to the factions. And that's where we are with this council. We're factionalised. Whereas in fact, what we should be doing is getting on with the business of trying to help over all the problems that we've got, that towns up and down the country have got us on, to do with schools, to do with highways, to do all sorts of things that everybody in this audience knows happen every day. Why would they come here and listen to a few councillors who are not elected slag each other off? That is disgraceful. You know, and up and down the country, I mean, I've been watching the history of Thornton, where they've had similar problems, but they're rooting it out. And that's what we must do here. We must work together, despite the fact, I mean, I've been named and shamed here tonight, and so have others. That's not right. What makes that right? I don't know what makes that right. To name and shame, all right, I've got, you know, I'm not, I don't walk on water, can't even swim, to be honest. There you go. What I think is that we really need to have our eye on the democracy. As Nye Bevan said, you'll only have democracy so long as you want it. And democracy means elections, and it means, you know, sort of get your hands dirty maybe, but at the same time it means respect. And I don't detect a lot of respect in this room. You know, the way some councillors have talked about others and so on, right? And okay, you know, well, we need different opinions. You know, as has been said, I may not agree with what you say, but I'll defend to my death your right to say it. Without rancour. We have far too much rancour in this council. And I would support Councillor who says that, you know, we should have more democratic elections taking place. To give people the chance to listen to what we've got to say, and then we get on with it as a trustworthy body. I'm going to leave it there, thank you.
Anne Brown, resident of Whitby. I've not been the councillor that long. I've been the councillor as long as Councillor Riddles has. We both came and said our first initials together as to why we wanted to be councillors. I said I wanted to be of help to Whitby. I've always volunteered since the age of 16 in many different walks of life. But being a public servant, I couldn't be involved in local politics until I retired. So I came to Whitby and I volunteered. As various people said that it's a good democratic thing to do. And then I find, as someone new to parish or town politics, that instead of doing an awful lot of good for the town, I come to an awful lot of meetings where we discuss the minutiae of points of order and principles and subcategories. And so I see the museum and the art gallery desperately needing accreditation and desperately needing funds. I see the allotment societies, the allotment plots going to rack and ruin because we don't have meetings, because every time we try and organise a meeting, we have another extraordinary meeting. And certain paid officials have only got so many hours that they can give. We've heard about the lack of democracy. So my next door neighbour is the secretary of the Whitby Angling Society. And every year they have a meeting and they say, right, who wants to be secretary? And everyone says, Pete, are you going to be secretary? And he says, well, if nobody else wants to, yeah, I will. And he's elected to be secretary. You have MPs who spend their lives losing votes. Now, if the idea is that every time we don't get our way, we call everybody should resign so we can have some elections, is that democracy? every time an MP loses a vote, they say, right, that's it, we're having a general election. That's not democracy. What is democracy is you look at the rules and you say, right, every 4 years we have to stand again. And when our term of office finishes, if people want to stand against me, I will be more than happy for someone to stand against me. What I am not happy for is to be told that I should resign so that somebody can stand against me because people have issues with other people in the council or with some of the decisions, some of which weren't even made by the town council. You know, we get blamed for everything, and sometimes I say, well actually, that wasn't the case. And sometimes I think, you know what, if people would prefer to hear what they're told by people who haven't often been to the meetings, perhaps a few people who say that somebody's been rude to them, perhaps we'd all just like to go back and listen to those meetings that I've sat through, and as somebody who tries very hard to live by what it says in the book of James, I try to say nothing unless it's going to be nice, polite, considerate, positive. It takes a lot for me to stand up and speak like this. I know that's not right. Please, go back and listen to those meetings and see whether everybody has spoken politely and considerately or whether there's been a lot of bad temper. And I'll tell you that, there's been a lot of bad temper from many, many councillors. And yeah, we should perhaps be called to account. So I am more than happy to say I would love it if every single seat there was more than one person stood for the town council. Because I have been reappointed 3 times, I've filled my form in, I've said yes, I'm not this, I haven't got that, and nobody's ever opposed me. Please oppose me. I'll go back to digging my allotment. You know, that's why I came on the council, to protect the stuff of Whitby. The allotments, the play areas, the museum, the park. Not to spend money. You know what they say, referendums. We had a referendum for Brexit, once in a lifetime. How many town boards are going to be useful and helpful? Thank you.
Any councillor wish to speak for the first time?
Yeah, I'd like to ask just one thing. Everybody spoke tonight has been brilliant, you know, for and against the motion. But I want to ask the people of Whitby to come tonight, how do you feel about this man attacking town councillors on his website? Because it's disgusting, and it's gone on and on too long. Now you justify that, Mr. Go on then, do it.
Criticise public service.
No.
Can we...
Cartoons and personal attacks on people.
Councillor Harrison, can you just make your point? We're not entering into a dialogue with members.
My point is to the people, how can you support this man? That's my point. You know, everybody spoke well, everybody believes in Whitby. But how can you allow this fraud, to attack council members? I will support the motion tonight because I don't want him in this room anymore. The people like him.
Thank you.
Excuse me, Chair.
Thank you. Does any of the council wish to speak for the first time? If not, I will ask Councillor Wilson if she wishes to take up the right to reply before we move to a vote. Councillor Wilson, do you wish to finish?
I just want to say, I brought this motion because I wanted to get out into the public how much money is being wasted, not just on the town hall, but on...
Can we please, if members of the public cannot adhere to the rules, I will have to ask members of the public to leave.
On other things behind the scenes where we're having to have investigations at a cost of £337 an hour. This is your money, it's not mine. And this money means that there is no money for the allotments, there's no money for the play park, there's no money for the museum, there's no money for anything that benefits the people of Whitby. This is your money. Right? Can't you see it? Nobody's saying you don't to have different opinions, you do. You can come to town council meetings, you can approach town councils, you can stand for the council. You can do all that. That's the reason I got it, because I want people to know, not just the people who are friends with the councillors here, but the people outside of here who didn't know. I spoke to people and I said to them, do you know how much it costs to hold the town hall? No. And when I told them, they were upset. Because that's their money. And that is why I brought this motion, and that's why I hope that councillors will support it.
Thank you. All councillors have spoken. The proposal of the motion is summed up. We will move to the vote.
Can I have a point of order?
What is your point of order?
The point of order is that I don't think this discussion has even started yet, let alone you wanting to end it. There's still a lot of people who want to make comments.
That's not a point of order.
Why do you, just because everyone's had one...
Councillor Riddles, the motion has been discussed. Members of the public have spoken at the appropriate time about the motion. All councillors have been given the opportunity to speak to the motion. All councillors who wish to speak have spoken. Therefore, we move to the vote.
I'll sit down, but I don't think that you're following standing orders as you said that you are going to. You said you are going to follow standing orders and that's how it's going to be. But you're not following standing orders. Can I please finish?
Yes, certainly.
Because we are in the middle of a discussion, not at the end of the discussion. So if you're just going to end it here, we're no further on. We need to get to the bottom of all this, and if there's anyone who wants to say anything else, if we start repeating ourselves, then I understand that we would go to a vote. I cannot see when there's other things that need to be said that you won't allow it.
Standing orders state councillors may speak once to each motion. That has happened. All councillors who wish to speak to the motion have spoken. Therefore, I am following standing orders to the letter.
You might.
So I am following standing orders to the letter. I get told off when I don't follow standing orders, or accused of not following standing orders. I am now being told off for following standing orders. I would prefer to be told off for following standing orders. We will move to the vote on the motion.
Discuss the recorded vote.
A recorded vote. Sorry?
You need to keep your hands up while I answer.
Yes.
I would still like to know what the motion is.
I will read out the motion once again. The motion is what was published on this paper, and I'd just like to remind councillors that no councillor chose to make an amendment to this motion. This council acts in the best interest of the council taxpayers of Whitby. We condemn the actions of any member of this council who seeks to disrupt the ordinary business of the council with pointless and irrelevant motions, or in calling for town assembly meetings and for town polls for trivial reasons. Each pointless meeting or childish request detracts from true engagement and proper decision making. The members' code of conduct requires all councillors to lead by example and to act in a way that secures public confidence in the role of councillor. If certain members of this council are not prepared to honour this principle and apply themselves to effective, cooperative working in the best interest of the people of Whitby, it is they who should resign and clear the way for those who do. Excuse me. That is the motion. All those in favour of supporting the motion, a recorded vote. And myself. All those against the motion? Do we have any abstentions? I have the casting vote.
He's just voted.
I have the casting vote as chair.
You need to give us